You're listening to the Into the Woods podcast with your hosts, Dermot and Michael. Let's get into it.
Wonderful chase by Heath
Cox again. I cannot believe it. Daicos nearly runs out of room. He's goal! Jamie Elliot has won the game of footy for this famous club. Slap for Nick Daicos. He's going to be the hero. The little champ is going to pick the winner.
Here's the Degoe moment. He unloads. Bang! You need your stars. And Collingwood stars just went and wrenched the cup back.
Welcome to Into the Woods. I'm your host Dermot, and for the next hour or so, we'll be talking about all things Collingwood. If you want to join the conversation, be sure to follow our socials. You can find us on X at Into the Woods Pod and on Instagram at Into the Woods Pod 10. Once again, I'm joined by Michael. How are you, Mick?
Good, thank you.
Are you pumped? Are you up and about for a big episode?
No more so than usually.
I'm pumped. The Pies are in the best form we've been in. Probably since 2023, definitely since 2023. Probably better form than what we were right throughout that season as well. Seeing as though all the close finishes in 23, and now we're just destroying teams and good teams too. And we'll get into that in the hot topics in just a second. But before we do, I just want to remind our listeners, and I don't want to go on about it because we got a little bit of criticism in the last...
Because you did go on a little bit.
In the last episode. But just a reminder that this upcoming Tuesday night is our first panel show. Still doesn't have a name. Have you thought of one?
I didn't. Yeah, I hadn't given it any thought. It was my job.
Well, yeah, you don't have a lot of jobs. But yeah, this Tuesday night...
Has the panel been taken? It has.
It probably has.
No,
I can't actually think of any shows off the top of my head.
It was the panel about 10, 12 years back.
No, right.
Channel 10, but anyway.
But yeah, that's coming Tuesday night. We've got our 3 panellists. They're all ready to go, and we've got a backup as well, just in case one pulls out very last minute.
You didn't invite Maggie last week, one of our most loyal listeners, viewers.
I did invite Maggie. Yeah. I ended up messaging her. Yep.
Oh, okay. We actually thought, we don't even know if Maggie's male or female.
She's female.
Oh, she's female. Because we weren't sure if it was Maggie as in Margaret or this isn't interesting, or Maggie as in Collingwood Magpie stuff.
I did say that we're going to try and get through this, and then you sort of fell off top of that. But anyway, shout out to Maggie. G'day. But no, Maggie won't be one of the first 3 panelists. They're all locked in, and the group chat's been sorted, and we're ready to go. So yeah, tune in. They'll be out probably late Tuesday night. And if you want to get involved in future monthly Tuesday night episodes, hit me up on Instagram at Into the Woods Pod 10 or on Twitter at Into the Woods Pod. All right, let's get into all the hot topics.
We've listened to the wisdom of Sir Winston Churchill and the brilliance of genius Albert Einstein. In the 60s, we heard the great JFK. Now, all the great minds are talking footy.
What are you doing? Oh,
I brought props. I bought props for the first time ever.
You brought the lid's off them. Yes, we'll go.
The lid is off. The lid is off.
Yeah, that's the first time this pot's been used for anything at all.
Just to the people on Spotify and Apple, I do have a pot, and the lid is off.
Yes.
The lid is off. Wait, just end the season now. Like I was just saying to you out there, those Carlton fans in last year, you know, when I was saying, oh, the rest of the comp is shaking.
Yes, that's right. Was that the last game they've won?
It probably was.
Other than North and West Coast, they've actually beaten anybody since then.
This stuff, the rest of the comp really is shaking. We are on fire. We are on fire. 10-2, top of the ladder.
Can I ask you to stop bumping?
Just knocked off our bogey side by 50 odd points. A team that we never beat, no matter how good we are and how bad they are. we never beat them. And they're a pretty good side. They're not the absolute best, but they're a pretty dangerous side.
Now, I
And
know what
we whacked them. We whacked them, Mick. The lid is off.
Yes, I know what you're going to say because we just had this discussion 5 minutes ago. But beware the ghost of Sydney. Sydney was taking it all before them this time last year. We want to be playing our best footy come September, because even in 23, we weren't playing our best footy come September that year. So we really want to make sure we're hitting peak form then. I know we're 10-2, but that was last night was probably the best we've actually played all year. Like the other wins have been good, but we haven't been playing our best footy.
That, or like you said last night, the Brisbane game earlier in
the Brisbane game.
Yeah, they're the two.
The other one. But I don't even think, when I reflect on it, I don't think that was quite the full quarter effort. But given they were the premiers, given it was on their home ground, overall probably a better.
I think it was very much a 4-quarter effort. That
was
one.
it?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we're 10-2. We probably. But we're not playing as probably as well as Sydney was this time last year.
We're playing way better. Are you serious?
Oh, I think they were pretty.
They lost to Richmond last year.
Yeah, but that was about it. But anyway, let's not talk about Sydney.
And the difference between us and Sydney is we've been there, we've done that. We're already a premiership team. The majority of our players are premiership players. So we know that they can handle the pressure of finals. Whereas this Sydney team last year had the ghost of 2022 where they got absolutely smashed against Geelong in that granny. And then the same thing happened again on grand final day last year. So that's the difference. We're a lot mentally stronger than that Sydney team. A lot mentally stronger. And yeah, 100%. This is the best that we've played in some time. Our ball movement, our pressure, plus 44 tackles last night. Just insane.
A lot mentally stronger.
A lot.
Grammatically, I don't think that makes
me
sense.
Good English.
Me good English. me speak goodly.
I'm just excited. Our kicking inside 50, our goal kicking, our ball movements. It's just, oh my God. And we just so much experience as well. Like no team in the history of the game has had this much experience in their side. Like we are going to be primed and we are managing them beautifully. All these guys have had 1, 2, even 3 rest and we're still 10-2. We're about to go into we've got one more game before our bye and they get another rest. It's just insane.
Yeah, Debbie, you're talking to a person who's followed the Pies for 46 years or whatever it is. I've seen it before.
I've seen it before. Even in my 30 years on this planet, even I've seen it. But this is different.
Let's put the lid back on.
This is like, listen here. If we win the premiership this year, you would have seen 4 premierships in your lifetime. You can no longer say, "Oh, poor me, I'm seeing so." No, you would have been a lot more successful than pretty much any other supporting base other than Hawthorn.
First one, when I was 22 years old, was the first one. So I waited 22 years for the first one.
Even me, as a 30-year-old, I would have seen 3 if we win this year. Like that's like we're doing pretty well. Like. But I do get what you mean. Like even I've seen a lot of heartache. Like right throughout the 2023 season, I just didn't want to believe. I didn't want to believe because I didn't want to jinx it. Now that I know that this group can do it, I'm feeling a lot more confident this year that we can. And all jokes aside, I'm only mucking around. Like I honestly, if I was the tip of Premiership winner now, it would be us. I think we're the best team in the comp. But we're definitely not over the line. This is all just sort of tongue in cheek. But. And there's the Geelongs of the world. There's good teams out there.
Brisbane,
yeah.
Obviously, GWS I still rate very. I picked them as the premiers at the start of the year.
They need to get a hurry on though.
Yeah, they need to get a hurry on, but they're still. And then things just happen on the day as well. Like
exactly, yeah. But it's all looking good so far. It's all looking good, and we'll break up this game a little bit as we normally do, just by talking about a few individual players. And I'm going to start with someone that probably you're not expecting, but we'll go there.
Isn't this Hot Topics?
This is Hot Topics.
Isn't it? I can't quite remember how the show goes. But isn't it Hot Topics?
You're trying to work out how your own show works. All right, we'll sip through it.
But now it seems like you're reviewing the game. Isn't Hot Topics just anything and everything, and then we talk about the game after Hot Topics? Isn't that how it works?
Hot Topics, Michael. Okay. The game is a hot topic, you fucking idiots.
Fair enough. I was just trying to remember this morning. I thought, no, Hot Topics is when we just talk about anything and everything.
Can I just say...
Which I've got a couple of topics here other than Collingwood related.
This is, but we talk about the game from the night before first, because we normally do it 24 hours before, and then at the end...
Slow down, you're going too far.
You know that this is actually our 50th episode today? 50 episodes of Into the Woods.
No, it's our 49th.
No, it's 50 because one got taken down, but it still exists.
No, it's 49th because I wasn't invited to one.
Oh, the Andreas one?
Yes, the Andreas one.
That was actually the best one as well.
And speaking of Andreas, He helped us out with some artwork last week. Is that a thumbnail? He called the
Yeah, thumbnail for you. Yeah.
Very, very nice of him to do that.
He's a ripper bloke. We love Andres.
So Andres from Black and White United.
On YouTube and Instagram.
Yep. So, yeah, very nice gesture. I appreciate that.
Yep, and he will be on one of the panel shows in August. So he's agreed to come on. He's overseas at the moment. So if you're a Black and White United fan, yep, August, Andreas will be on the show again. But yeah, 50 episodes of Into the Woods, and you still don't know how our segments work. And how are you going to go hosting other people on Tuesday night when you don't even know how your own show works?
I'm going to be a strict disciplinarian on Tuesday night. I'm not going to put any nonsense. Not on my watch. Keep on going though.
All right. So the player I want to talk about is actually Ed Allen. So we're going to start with Ed Allen. Obviously, you and I have been a big fan of him for quite a while. We've spoken a lot about him. He's now played 4 games in a row without being subbed off. And his first 2 games, 11 disposals and 13 disposals. And you're thinking, oh, God, like he's going to get dropped. We're not going to see him for ages. That's just what we do. But then we picked him again for that 3rd game. He comes out, 24 disposals. Pick him again last night, 23 disposals. So this is what happens. Once you can't just like chuck a player out after a couple of bad performances. With young talent like Ed Allen, and this is what we've been saying, you just need to give them a few games in a row, and now he's starting to feel like he belongs at the level. He was very, very impressive again last night.
He gets involved in the link-up. He suits the system so well. The run, the carry, the handball, the double play.
Along the wing, and he floats around half back, and he's a very smart player. He looks very cool and calm under pressure. Under pressure. A bit like Pendlebury, not so much. He's not as skillful and classy as Pendlebury, but the game sort of moves slowly around him. That's what I've noticed.
He breaks the lines more than Pendlebury.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, runs and carries more. But I know what you're saying. He's got that element of calm about him and time and space.
But then when he fills into his body, he's going to be a big boy because he's about Ned Long heights, isn't he? So
hopefully he never loses that running ability, though. We don't want him bulking up too much that that it affects his pace.
So hopefully he holds his spot in the team. He definitely will next week, but I'm talking long term. Hopefully come finals time, we've got a spot for him in the side. Unfortunately, when these guys come back, it might be a sub. I don't know, but...
Well, did you see DeGoey's interview before the game?
I saw the second half of it because I was picking up my pizza, I missed the first half.
Look, we're no clearer when he will come back. He was saying could be anywhere from kind of 2 weeks to kind of 6 weeks. He reckons maybe about 3 weeks.
Yeah, I saw that part right at the end where he put 3 weeks on it.
And you put him in this side, and they said, where are you going to be playing given the rise of Ned Long? He said, probably just going to... Do you hear this bit? He said, probably just going to a pinch hit in the midfield, playing mostly forward.
Yeah, good.
What a luxury. What a luxury. You put him into this side at the way they're playing at the moment.
Alongside Membry and Checkers and McStay when he comes back, like he could take the 3rd or 4th tall. That's just insane. Like how a team's going to stop that? You got Jamie Elliot who plays tall as well.
And you can't put a small on him. Somebody at least has to have a bit of body strength around them, and we're just going to outmark them.
Speaking of Jamie Elliot.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I just lost track of what I was thinking. James,
I know what you were thinking. I can tell you what you're thinking.
Is he a good player or isn't he a good player? Because I get confused by the way that you talk about him sometimes. Because I watch him and he looks like a good player, but the way you speak about this guy, it makes it sound like he should be playing 2s.
I've always been his biggest supporter. I don't know. The only thing I've ever said, and long-time listeners going right back 18 months will know my thoughts on Jamie. I just dispute the myth that he's this clutch goal kicker.
Sorry. Oh, that was a joke, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't a joke.
Oh shit! Sorry. I didn't realise you were a dumbass. All right, go on.
I'm not gonna.
No, go on.
I'm not going to touch on this topic because people were bored by it because we discussed it so many times.
What, last year when we had about 20 listeners? Come on with this.
Okay, right. Yeah. Well, look, he's got this reputation as a goal kicker based on kicking a series of goals in big moments from 45, 50 out on the boundary. Now, to me, that's not the definition of a clutch goal. A clutch goal isn't one that you're not expected to kick. If you're 45, 50 out from the boundary, nobody is expecting you to kick that. You're not gonna lose any sleep over having missed that one. Okay. The clutch goals are the slightly difficult goals, like, 35 out, 45-degree angle, that as a permanent forward, you should be kicking. They're a little bit hard. That's when the pressure comes on. And they're the ones that Jamie Elliott has had trouble with over the years.
No, I haven't seen him have much trouble with him this year.
Well, go back to the Melbourne final of 2023 when he missed 2 from that exact position at vital times. That is indicative of the trouble he has with the true clutch goals. Don't tell me 45 metres out on the boundary is clutch. It's not clutch. That's all I've ever said about Jamie Elliott.
No, you didn't. You also said
said
he wouldn't end the season in the seniors last year. He would be playing reserves.
Yeah, I thought that was based on the fact that I thought his body was packing up, because the previous year in 23,
The previous year he had a career high goals of 39. Yeah,
if it indulged me for a moment, there's every chance, there's every danger you might learn something. There's just a danger. I know the teachers told you that over many, many years, Dermot, but to give it a go, you might learn something. The previous year, yes, he had a good year in 23, but guys who watch the game will know that a couple of weeks out from finals, his form started to taper because he started to have a few injuries. Yes, he played every match thereafter, but he was hampered by his body. I thought, okay, it's starting to catch up with him. So I thought maybe he won't be in the side at the end of the year due to his body breaking down. Nothing to do with his ability. His ability has never been under question. Just his temperament and his body has ever been under question with me.
Ladies and gentlemen, the only Jamie Elliott hater in the world, Mr. Michael Hare. You're a disgrace. Yeah. Right now, he's the best forward in the game. He's equal with Jeremy Cameron for the Coleman. Jeremy will pass him. He's playing West Coast on Sunday. But as of right now, as we record this, he is leading the Coleman medal. He's the hottest player in the game.
Yeah.
And he's in career best form at what? How old is he? 32 years of age.
Right. If I agree with you that I'm a Jamie Elliott hater and a disgrace, can we move on to a different topic?
We will, but it's about Jamie Elliott as well.
Graceful.
It's about Jamie.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, right, yeah, go ahead.
While we're on the topic of Elliott, did you hear that Brisbane are going to have another crack at trying to lure him over?
Yeah, I did. I haven't read the article, but I've heard the headlines that, he's... Well, what's the story behind? Is that somebody's opinion and media that they should have a go? Or?
Well, no. They will have a go.
Oh, they will have a go.
And it's Cal Toomey as well, very reliable. Yeah. They obviously had a go at him in 2019, at the end of 2019. And he had
that long ago.
It was that long, yeah. And he had the tour of the Gabba. He was caught on cameras and decided to stay. He won't go.
No.
But what Cal did say was he spent a bit of time in his earlier years up in Queensland, and that he might actually want to return to Queensland once he's retired. So if that's the case, then maybe he might go there. But come on, he want to end a one club player, surely.
Well, there's money to be made in being a one club player in retirement, and I think that's part of the carrot why Maynard was probably going to re-sign.
He's about to re-sign.
Yeah. There's a lot of money. Like I've said in the past. Yeah, you got Peter Daicos still making money from having been a Collingwood player and having retired in '94, and that was even before his son started to play. He was still making money. So there's money from a love like somebody like a Maynard and a Peter Daicos who are loved by the Collingwood supporter base.
And Jamie Elliott.
Well, to an extent, because
Oh, sorry, you don't. I forgot. Everyone except you.
Yeah. There's money to be made, but there you go.
Rightio. So we'll move on. What did you think of Nick Daicos' game?
Well, I thought it was very good.
I thought it was very good too.
Spoiler alert! I've given him votes. I've got a point to make, but I think the fact that you've asked me a question means that Dermot wants to say something. It's just a roundabout way to get into what he wants to say.
The disrespect from Sam Mitchell in the press conference. They asked him why Finn McGuinness didn't tag him, why Finn McGuinness started as a sub when he's had such good success on Daicos throughout the years. And Sam just simply said, well, I don't think he had great impact on the game. His kicking was off. Disrespectful. He was better than every single one of those Hawks midfielders out there. He played a really good game. Right throughout the game, I was actually thinking, oh, Nick's back. He's running carries back. His kicking's back. I thought he's pulling off a few really nice kicks here that he hasn't been in previous weeks. And then Mitchell comes down and says that his kicking wasn't effective. Like, I don't know. I just find that very disrespectful. I think you can make a case for him being best on ground. Like, I know people are going to say Elliot, and yeah, probably is.
I don't think he's best on ground, but you can make a case for him. Yes.
There's lots of, but he's in the top 3 or 4, and I don't think there's a huge gap between the top 3 or 4. He was in a team that won by 50 points. He played a huge part in it, and I just felt that was a little bit disrespectful from the
well, he did open his comments by saying he's one of the best players in the league. So I don't think he was being disrespectful. I think he was maybe just trying to justify his tactics. Yeah. Possibly. Talking about Nick Daicos, the previous week, in the aftermath of the North game, I watched a few of the new footy shows. First Crack being amongst them, and the Gender Setters being the other. Okay, so First Crack focused on Daicos, and they were very critical of his kicking. Okay, they didn't say much about how well he played, the fact that he probably won us the game. It was all around his poor disposal. That's really primarily what they spoke about. Fast forward to the agenda setters of midweek, and you had Kane Corns talking about Nick Daicos, waxing lyrical about how great he was and won them a game and so forth and so on. The ironic thing is both programs used the same highlight to back up their claim.
Do you remember what highlight that was?
I do remember that highlight. So you had I think it would have been the last quarter. You had Daicos a centre square clearance, and he had he's kind of running out towards the wing, and he had a bit of pressure coming from his front right-hand side, okay? So he was forced into the left foot, and the First Crack highlight of it just showed him whacking it onto the boot, and it kind of went off at a 45-degree angle and only went about 30 metres, and it looked like a bit of a shank. And then they stopped the film. Okay. And David King says, what I'd like to see him do there is the old drive with your legs, which I assume means run, isn't it? Drive with your legs means what we used to say run. Okay. So what he wanted him to do was drive with his legs. I don't want to be too critical because David King's coming up soon. Drive with your legs and get out and get out of that situation. Okay. Right. So they stopped it there. It looked like a shank off the side of his boot. Kane Corns showed exactly the same highlight, but they showed it longer. They showed the full highlight. So he's come out. It looks like he's purposely kicked it in that position because he probably didn't have options upfield. It's gone to McCreary on the wing on one bounce. So it's got to McCreary's gathered it, handballed it to somebody else. That person and then handballed it back to Nick, who's driven it deep into the forward line. Okay? So the shank, the First Crack was depicting it as, was actually a controlled kick to McCreary because he had that front on pressure, so he couldn't go long, and that's the best option he had. So it's funny, these footy shows, they use highlights to support whatever argument, but they're not above editing these highlights either to suit them. So I just thought that was interesting.
You're right. That was interesting. Maybe went on a little bit too long, but that was interesting.
Yeah, as opposed to the Jamie Elliot topic and get on our panel for next week topic. Like they didn't go on.
You should have brought props.
Oh yes, the props.
You should have brought props.
No, I knew he brought a prop last week.
What was it?
A Coles brand Wheat-Bix box as our new sponsor. Our very good friends at the generic department of Coles brand has sponsored us.
Are you a baller?
This is coincidence. I was listening to
is this another long story?
No, I was listening to Kane Corns and David King yesterday.
I was going to say, call up and tell them this.
And they were talking about these people who are ballers and people who aren't ballers. They didn't actually explain what a baller was. I didn't know what they're talking about. A
ball is just baller someone that listens to their show. Fireball. Yeah.
Oh, is that who it is? Yeah. Okay, yeah, no, I didn't pick up on that. Probably obvious now that you mentioned it.
So why don't you call up and tell them this? And explain it nice and lovely.
I don't think they'll give me the 7.5 minutes uninterrupted on their show. Don't worry, guys, we'll push the ads back.
All right. Brody Mihocek. Let's look a little bit at checkers. You know, another play that you've bagged throughout the years.
Well,
kicking's no good.
I'm acting exasperated as if I don't know what you're talking about. but I suspect I have bagged him.
Yeah, you've
What
banned
have I
a
said?
lot of people. This is going back even before we did the podcast. You haven't said this in a while, but you just bagged his kicking constantly. He's actually a very good kick these days.
He goes through stages. He does. He goes through stages.
I'm just teasing you. I'm just teasing you. But you did mention at the start of the year you wanted him at full back. But anyway.
This isn't as crazy as it sounds.
Oh no, we don't need to go through this again.
No, well, you raised it. He came to the club as a fullback from Port Melbourne. At times during his 8-10 years of the club, we've needed fullbacks, and not the craziest idea.
Is he? I reckon he's going to end the season with years where he had kicked more goals, but this could be his best ever year just from impact alone. And I stand by it's the Tim Membry effect, and then when Dan McStay's there as well, these guys are just making him better. He hasn't had the support of these guys right throughout his career. Like who did he play with in the 2018, 19, 20, 2021, these sort of years? Who was he playing alongside? No,
As far as big guys.
big guys, yeah, big guys.
Yeah, well, Cox spent a bit of time down there in those years, in 2018.
Yeah.
He kicked a few goals too, Cox. Yeah, but no, he hasn't had the physical, Cox doesn't take the physical battering that Mihocek takes, and yeah.
He's just looking really fit. He's just looking really confident, and I don't know, you might say at the end of the year he might only have 40 goals or whatever, and he's kicked far more than that throughout his career. But I reckon this could be his best ever season. He's having impact around the ground. His hands are sensational. Has Brody Mihocek always been this good of a mark? I've noticed it more than ever this year. I'm not saying he was ever a poor mark, but he's just not dropping them. It's like it's Dan McStay like this year.
Yeah. No, he's been good.
I haven't heard any commentary about how good his hands have been.
Yes, I agree. He's has been very good. Sorry, I'm not as excited, as enthused on the topic as you are.
Sorry, I'm just excited in general.
Yeah.
Can you feel that I've got a bit more energy this afternoon than I do in most episodes?
I've got some exciting points I'd like to get, which I thought was. But we've kind of gone into the game now. They're outside the game. Can you just indulge me for 2 points?
Oh, come on. We've just listened to you comparing Channel 7 and Fox for 10 minutes.
They're quite. Or we'll do it at a more appropriate time. We'll continue to talk about the game. Pressure and efficiency. Okay, that's where we won it.
Plus 44 tackles. Plus 44 tackles.
Yeah. Well, we had
the most in the history of the game. Did you know that? Or
No, I
the club. I think the club most for Collingwood in the history.
No, I wasn't aware of that. But we did have 44 to 12 front half tackles, even though they had one more injury than us. So they had more opportunity to delay their tackles than we did. But 44 to 12. Efficiency. I talked about the pressure, and that's part of the pressure. But the efficiency, 63.6% in our forward 50 to their 42. 63%.
Yeah.
It's and all the clearances. They won the clearances.
Sorry to interrupt, but just what I remember, I was listening to Pies Nation during the week, and they were talking about how we've been absolutely smashed the last 3 weeks in clearances, and now 4 weeks after last night. But before that, I think we'd won every single clearance count before this bad.
Yes, I think I heard that.
So I wonder what's going on there, because we had all our players back last night. Sidebottom was back and played fantastically. Pendlebury was back. So I don't.
I had been on a bit of a roll.
Okay, go on. I'm sorry. Sorry.
So they won clearances. They had one more inside forward 50 than we did. Possessions were pretty much the same. We had 11 more. So there wasn't a hell of a lot of difference. It was just really the pressure and the efficiency. We had, which highlights with the 63% and the 18 inside 50 marks. There you go. That's where we won it. Just more pressure, more efficiency. Turnovers. Huge score on turnovers. Couldn't find the stat, but during the commentary one stage, they said like 56 points from turnovers. Lipinski. We talked about Lipinski last week, and what did I say about Lipinski?
He's kicking inside 50, yes.
He's kicking inside 50. I said, I wouldn't mind seeing him have a rest at the moment, but at the pointy end of this year, I want him back in the side playing his best footy, because when we're playing well, he's playing well, and he's close to our best kick inside forward 50.
You got that part right, but it's just a bit hard to take you seriously when you also wanted him dropped from the team. So
No, but what I was saying, I wanted him back because of his ability to hit targets inside forward 50, which he did 3 times last night. Put it on their chest.
All right, well, we'll pick one then. So we spoke about Ed Allen earlier. If come September, there's only one spot available, and it was between Lipinski and Ed Allen. Who are you picking? If their form was based off what they've done in the last week. So if their form was the same as what it is now, there's one spot available. Who are you picking?
That's not the best comparison. It's Will Hoskin Elliot every day of the week, and I know we joke. Well, I don't even joke about Will Hoskin Elliot. I don't think he's been good enough to be in the side for years now.
He's not going to be in the side though. That's the thing. He won't be. He's only in the side because
dropped, you're saying
it's only because we haven't been at full strength. Now, because at the start of the year, when we were pretty much full strength, he wasn't getting the game. It's funny. I'll bring this up because I've actually got Will Hoskin Elliot in my notes. So for the first time, I've got him in my notes as a proper discussion because we joke about him a lot.
I've never joked about Will Hoskin.
Yeah, I know. You joke about him, but in a serious way. I know you're serious, but you're joking.
My point is valid.
Do you want to have a proper discussion about it? Because I've got stats here on Will Hoskin Elliot.
Please.
So Will Hoskin Elliot, he, as I just said, he didn't start the season in the team. We had a few injuries. He's come in and he's played the last, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's played the last 8 games now, Hoskin Elliot. So these are his stats. I know it's not all about stats, but it shows a little bit.
It's got a fair bit to do.
It's got a fair bit. So we'll go reverse order. So last night, 8 disposals, no goals. So that was his worst game. I will add last night.
In a side which is dominated.
In a side that was dominating. We've won the majority of these games. Last week, 9 disposals, 1 goal. The week before against Adelaide was probably his best game in his patch. He had 11 disposals, but the 2 goals. So that was his best game against Adelaide. Week before, 7 disposals, 1 goal against Freo. A week before that, he played 20% time on ground as the sub. Came on in the last quarter and had the 2 touches, no goals. The week before that, on Anzac Day, 7 disposals, 1 goal. Week before that, up at the Gabba, 9 disposals, 1 goal. And then his first game in the side was Gabba round, where he came in, had the 13 disposals, which is his season high, and 1 goal. But if you look at these stats, like 13, 9, 7, 2, 7, 11, 9, 8. He's not getting the ball as a high half forward. They can push deep as well, but let's just say he's a high half forward, runs up and down the ground. He's not getting the ball. He's pretty good for a goal a game. He's gone 1, 1, 1, none as the sub, 1, 2, 1, and then none last night. So you can say he's pretty good for a goal game. So weighing this up, do you want to have a 30, how old is he? I don't want to get this wrong, but let's just say he's about 31, roughly. 31-year-old let's just average him 8 disposals a game and kick in 1 goal. So he's not doing really anything other than that 1 goal. Is he worth a spot in the side over kids that were just dropped in a Will Hayes and a Will Parker? I know Will Parker, a different position to Hoskin Elliott, and even, Hayes and Hoskin Elliott both forwards, but different types of forwards. But you can shuffle the magnets. You can always play one as the sub, bring Sullivan onto the ground, like whatever you have to do. Have we dropped both of those kids before Hoskin Elliott? I know that you're going to say no.
Well, I don't know. I don't think so. And I keep on saying the same thing. You've got a young up and comer versus a guy who's in the twilight of his career. They're both giving you similar output, which is what's happening here. Of course you go for the kid. It's not like you might not go for the kid if you haven't got a lot of experience in your side. But I think we're pretty well for experience. I think the papers have been saying all year we're pretty well for experience. So you go.
It's not like he brings like manic pressure or anything as well. Like when McCreary was getting his 10 touches a game and stuff like that, he was bringing something else to the table. Like
I think McRae will say he loves his ability to play multiple positions, but I still don't think that's enough.
I don't think it's enough anymore. Like I've always liked Hoskin Elliott more than you, and I've probably liked him a little bit less than the average Collingwood supporter. So I've always sort of been in the middle. And I loved his final series in 23. He's a premiership hero. I loved his whole season in 2018 when he kicked about 40 odd goals. I'll always like him, but it's a little bit like what I've been saying about Mason Cox the last few weeks. Is I think we've now moved past him, because last night there were occasions where you're looking at this team and there were 21 contributors out there and Will Hoskin Elliott. Like the way that we would move the ball from D50 to attack, and the last player that would have the ball inside 50 after a great sort of chain of events would be Hoskin Elliott, and he would stuff it up. Like I think it happened 2 or 3 times. Like the one that sticks in my mind is when he got smothered.
Yes, I sent you a text and saying, hasn't he been big?
And there was another one, I think, in the first quarter where he looked like he was in 2 minds. Should he have a shot at goal? Should he should he set it up? He had the shot at goal in the end, but just didn't get near it. Nearly kicked it on the full.
Yeah, I remember.
Snuck in for a point. He's just past it. He's just not at the standard that the rest of these guys are at. If we're going to have someone that's contributing 10 disposals and a goal, I'd rather it be a Will Hayes, get some games into him. But yeah, I think come September, we're talking about Ed Allen v. Lipinski. That's how we got onto the Hoskin Elliott topic. I think come September, he's not even going to be an option. He's going to be a top 30 player, so if we've got injuries maybe. But I brought up Allen v. Lipinski because they could very much be the kind of guys that are between 22nd and 24th in the team.
Yeah. Again, we're debating the hypothetical best 23, which happens about twice a year. There's always injuries.
It does. Yeah. No, it does. But I always say that people like you say that you never get your best 23. You'll be surprised. A lot of the time you do get your best 23 in finals because players eventually will then play through injuries that they normally wouldn't in home and away.
I just throw a name at you, and I do this from a position of ignorance because I don't know a lot about him. I haven't seen him play.
It's not the Perryman thing again, is it?
No. Again, I didn't see the guy last night. I was watching really hard. Has he got an invisible cloak?
He's a very good player.
He's a good player, I've got no doubt.
How do you know if you didn't say?
No, because I rely on trusted sources. They tell me he's mentioned in dispatches, which older people will know what that means. But Jacob Ryan. Now, Jacob Ryan, I'm not sure how well he's playing the twos. There were big raps about him going back a year or so. He had that one game he got concussed, never saw him again. I understand he's more of a kind of a third back tall, but he can run a bit. Is he an option to replace? Could he, role play wise, play the same role as a Hoskin Elliott?
What, is it like a forward?
Well, I know he doesn't go forward a lot on up, but he's more of like a tall back, but who can run a bit, so he can play half back. He can probably even play wing if he can play half back. Something like that. Should we be?
I can't comment on Jacob Ryan. I haven't seen enough of him. We're in Tassie, we don't get the VFL on TV that regularly.
Is he playing? What's the reports of how he's playing in the twos? Is he getting the kick in the twos?
I mean, I think he's been okay. I don't think he's been poor. I don't think he's been good.
I haven't seen him in the emergencies or anything. No.
Well, you could say the same for TJ. TJ played that one game last year.
TJ's the other one. Yeah. Are these guys the ones we should be getting a few more games into as well at the expense of a Hoskin Elliott? So TJ, and Allen, Jacob Ryan, a Parker. Dimitia. I know. No, none of them are like for like. But in football, unless you're comparing one of the Lonies together, you're never going to get a like for like. All right, that's about as much like for like as you can get.
So my personal opinion is once the Goey's fit, if the Goey's ever fit, but I assume at some stage he'll come back in. That's going to be the end of Hoskin Elliott because, like you just said, the Goey will be playing forward. That's the obvious swap right there. That he's not going to be in the team. But this is a little bit like how I've been banging on about how Cox should be out for Charlie West, and I'm saying let's give Charlie West a go before Dan McStay's right. Well, let's give some of these kids a go before Jordan De Goey's right.
But didn't they come up with a great option last night? I think the other thing we were discussing last week is I had previously said maybe more as the backup ruckman because not playing so deep in defence, it'd be easy to free him up as a second ruck. But of course, last night I thought tactically they did well. They thought Frampton was going to be playing on Chol, wasn't it?
Well, Darcy Moore spent most of the time on Chol.
I thought Frampton was playing on Chol, and every time Chol went into the ruck, Frampton just followed him.
You're probably right.
Which was a good way.
Very late, Darcy was definitely on Chol.
Yeah, but earlier on, which was a good tactical way to make sure we weren't caught out in the forward line during that transition. So that played well. But sorry, go ahead.
Long term, we can't go with Billy Frank. I think we got away with it last night because they're a very small team.
Yeah. No, we can't get
away with it. We can't get away with it. So I actually had this in my notes to talk about.
And Child beat him in the ruck too.
Yeah, he didn't look good in the ruck, Big Bill. But and I would have just loved to have seen Charlie. I was shocked when we didn't pick a ruck. I would have just loved to have seen us just go with Charlie West last night. But anyway, this is going to be like Ed Allen, where I just go on about Charlie West every single week until he finally gets a good go. But no, let's just skip ahead and preview a little bit of next week's game before we continue the review of last night's game.
Took the words out of my mouth because I want to talk about Max Gawn.
It's Max Gawn, yeah.
Max Gawn.
So I've been talking for weeks about we got to get rid of Cox, get rid of Cox, get rid of Cox, get rid of
He
Cox.
wants him back in.
We finally got rid of Cox, and God, did we look better without him there? I'm not saying I want him back there, but do we bring him back? Because we're obviously not going to go with, we can't go with Billy Frampton again in the ruck.
No, well, I don't remember Gawn really dominating against us because we've always presented him with two rucks, be it Grundy and Cox or Cameron and Cox. He's never been able to dominate against us.
Well, there's talk that McStay could actually be fit to play King's birthday.
Yeah.
There's talk. I have my gut feel says that we're just going to hold off.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have to buy, and then he'll be 100% ready to go after the buy.
And also, I know the ruckmen don't run and jump at each other as much as they used to because of the new rule. It's more of a wrestle. But when you've got a guy who's got a dodgy couple of knees, do you want him in the ruck that often?
He will be, because structurally we need it, because we've seen we just haven't been able to find a replacement for him in there. So yeah, I feel like if McStay plays, then obviously Cox won't. If we want to hold off another week with McStay, is he going to come back after one game? Because I'm seeing Collingwood fans all over Twitter saying this is probably the last time we're ever going to see Mason Cox, unless there's an injury to Cameron or whatever. We're never going to see him play again. And then they're posting their favourite Coxie memory and all that. And I'm sitting there and thinking, I reckon we're going to see him next week, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Oh, he's been, the reports of his death have been grossly exaggerated in the past too. As we were talking about last week, a couple of years ago, everybody swore black and blue after that Brisbane game that he played an absolute shocker. That's the end of him. We thought let's get rid of his citizenship as we're going.
Look, it could be, but it really all depends on Dan McStay. It all depends. Like if Dan McStay's not back, then I definitely don't think it's the last we've seen of him. Definitely not.
Right.
All right, so we'll move back. What are you doing?
Oh, just crossing out things in my notes.
We'll move back a little bit, and we'll stick with the ruck debate. So I want to talk a little bit about Darcy Cameron and his game last night.
He got better.
So I called you a quarter time, and I said that was the worst quarter of football Darcy Cameron has played in years. He lowered his colour. He didn't get a disposal, but it wasn't even that. He was just getting smacked in a ruck, getting pushed out of it way too easily, getting knocked. I mean, both in a ruck contest and in marking contest, and just in general, got caught holding the ball very early, which I think ended up costing us a goal. Awful first quarter. And I mean, this isn't the Darcy Cameron that we've just come to love over the last 18 months. Like, what is going on? He was a little bit better in the second quarter, still not amazing. But man, he stood up big time, I think, in that second half. Like, we were getting beaten in clearances. And I think he knew that, and he thought, you know what, I'm gonna do something about this. So he started taking it out of the ruck. He started handballing it off. He was doing the clearance work himself, and eventually, he just worked himself into the game. And to me, it was nowhere near one of his best performances, but it was one of his most impressive, considering coming back from a really bad first half, especially first quarter, to come out and turn your game around like that. That's impressive. It reminded me of what Nick Daicos did the week before against North. A really quiet first half. That's what the great players do. They turn their game around. So it might not be a night, but it can be a moment, sort of thing. What was your opinion on Cameron and his game?
Spoiler alert again. Didn't get a vote in the Julian Row medal, but I thought he's impressive second half. I kind of ruled a line through the last quarter as far as assessing players go because it was just a free for all.
He was very good in the third quarter still.
Yeah, still very good. Yeah, no, but he did lower his colours. We're talking about Lloyd Meek, his opponent. Derma rang me up last night, and it was one of his more lucid, articulate moments when he was.
Backhanded compliment.
When you discussed the pending report, we assumed the pending report when Lipinski got knocked out. Yeah. So could you tell us what you said last night?
Can't even remember. I don't see what all the fuss is about Lloyd Meek, and I've seen a few people since I had that conversation with you sort of say the same thing. So it's not like we're the only two of his opinion. He didn't do anything wrong. He had eyes for the ball. He spoiled Lipinski. He was a little bit late. So it's 50 metres every day of the week, and it was, and he kicked the goal from it.
Even that, I'd be skeptical. Like we're talking about like people, the broadcasters slow it down. Life doesn't roll out in slow motion. Okay, you're talking about that was a millisecond. He was a millisecond late. You have to allow players to be a millisecond late.
I think it was 50, but I can see your points. Like it is probably borderline, but in no way is that a suspension. Lloyd Meeks should not be missing any games from that. Now, it was a football act, and I feel like I'm going back a few years and thinking about the Maynard incident when he was trying to smother. That was a football act. This is even more of a football act. This is just a normal spoil that went slightly wrong. Now, I think I said to you at the time, if that was Jack Ginnivan or Nick Watson or one of their smaller guys coming over the top of Lipinski and fisting it, would Lipinski fall to the ground quite as hard and hit his head? No, he wouldn't. It was how big and strong and heavy that Lloyd Meek is that's the momentum that
contributed.
It contributed. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So should he be punished for
being
being big and heavy?
Exactly.
Should he not be allowed to spoil the ball the way that a smaller guy should be?
Yeah.
Like I can't guarantee, but I would almost guarantee that wouldn't have happened to Lipinski, or the outcome wouldn't have been quite as bad if it was one of their smaller players. Yeah. There is nothing in it, and I'm hearing this nonsense that it's going to be one of these situations again where it's either 0 weeks or 3 weeks. The AFL need to sort that shit out. That's embarrassing.
Yeah,
like there can be a 1 week incident. I don't even think it should be 1 week, but if it's going to be anything, it can't be any more than one.
After the Curtis incident, I made the comment, and people made it subsequently, that the AFL, Laura Kane came out on Jerry Waitley's program after the Curtis suspension, said, yeah, basically this is wrong. It shouldn't be just 0 or 3. We'll fix it at the end of the year. No, fix it now.
Yeah.
Why are we waiting to the end of the year? Why are we waiting for somebody to miss, as they said in the broadcast last night?
I'm about to say they bringing this up last night. Yeah.
Multiple weeks in finals because of it. You changed the holding the ball rule last year, mid-year. Change this. Get rid of it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. He's going to be suspended because he's big. I remember Jared Witts when he was playing for the Pies. He took this chest mark on the half-forward flank, and as he was taking an opposition player, 70 kilos wringing wet, ran up to him and bounced off him. Literally bounced off him, ended up about 3 meters away. Umpire came in, free kick. So Witts was given a free kick against because Witts was big.
He's big.
His offence was being big.
It's no good. But anyway, we'll move on because this isn't a Hawks podcast. But hopefully, Big Lloyd can get off.
It doesn't always just. Sometimes we talk about the game as a whole.
Well, he's a good player, Lloyd, isn't he? Just
Delhi Tickens.
Well, if we're going to talk about the game, just very briefly, haven't Freo fucked up because they've got what 2 ruckmen on over $1 million a year on these big ass contracts that just don't work well together. They're both good players in their own right, but they don't work well together. Meanwhile, you got Lloyd Meek, who was on Freo's list, that is on what? What do you reckon he's on? About 400 a year? Like, he's just as good, if not better, than Sean Darcy, and he's a lot better value than Luke Jackson.
You never pay your fullback. You never pay your fullbacks or your ruckman a lot of money, because we've said this before.
Ridiculous.
Look at the premiership ruckman over the last 10 years. Take Gawn out, the rest are just journeymen.
Like it reminds me of we get rid of Grundy, who's on about $1 million a year, and then we get Darcy Cameron, who's on about 400, and he ends up being the better player. Lloyd, this is the exact same, but unfortunately for Freo, Lloyd Meek's already gone. He's doing it at another club.
You know what I'd do with Jackson? Because Jackson's not a natural forward. Okay, no. He can take the odd clunk.
He's just going to be like another midfield wing kind of thing.
What they should do with Jackson? Make him a big bodied on ball.
I think they've briefly tried it. It just doesn't look good. Like in theory, it makes sense, but I think he's just.
And then you can take a few.
He's a ruckman, and I feel like he's a ruckman first, and then he can be like an extra midfielder around the ground. I just don't think he can. I just don't think he can read the game that well as a pure mid.
Okay,
that's just my view.
But it's a segue. It's a segue to one of my exciting points.
Oh, yep.
Because it involves Fremantle.
Oh, Freo getting a lot of talk in this game, considering
Get rid of the MRO. Get rid of the.
Is this about Pearce?
Yes, it is about.
Pearce has missed through injury this week after all that. Sorry.
This is my point, and you're kind of taking chunks of it out of my point.
Oh, all right.
Okay. Get rid of the MRO, because we can't have a situation where one person can potentially set precedence in the game. And why I say that, because love Michael Christian, but he is only one person assessing things. Okay, so Michael Christian says, okay, this guy, we give him 3 weeks. Bang. Now, at that point, there's been a precedent set. Okay, that what Pearce did was reportable and suspendable. So it's officially bang a precedent. So Freo have made the decision to appeal it, and they've gone to the tribunal and they've won. Okay, so now that precedent has been removed. There's been a different precedent made saying in similar circumstances this is okay, and that's great for the game. And I really wanted Pearce to get off, which he did. But what happens in the scenario that the Michael Christian and the MRO gives them 3 weeks, and the club says to themselves, well, whoever it is, it might be a fringe player. It is very disrespectful when you just look at your phone when I'm trying to make a telling point. What are you doing?
It's related to the podcast. Just keep on talking.
So Freo says to themselves, okay, this player, he's a fringe player. He's probably going to be dropped next week anyway. We're not going to spend the money involved in an appeal. So an appeal isn't made. He's not subsequently
Who's the
found.
French player?
No, it's because you're not listening. Okay, concentrate. I'm saying what happens in the event that it wasn't Alex Pearce that was been suspended.
Right.
It was a fringe player for Freo. And Freo think, okay, because this guy's a fringe player, we're not going to bother appealing because he'll be out of the side next week regardless. Or what if it's a scenario that they say, this guy is injured, Alex Pearce is injured, he's not playing for the next couple of weeks anyway, which turns out to be the case. Maybe we won't bother appealing it because we don't want to waste the money. And so the MRO's decision stands as a precedent. That system is broken. You can't have that system. It should be straight to the tribunal. And had you listened to the whole thing, you would have appreciated that point.
You're a little bit boring today.
You would have appreciated. Do you reckon that's boring? Wait until you hear this next one.
Do you normally go on this much?
No,
I feel like that you're more talkative than usual. You really are. I can tell you're excited about the past form as well. You're talking a lot.
I'm so excited about the Pies form. I'm about to talk about Tasmanian's weather.
Oh, come on, Michael.
No, this is a good one.
Is this about the... Please tell me this is at least about the roof on the stadium or some shit.
Or some shit. The roof on the stadium.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
There's a sticking point. It's going through different houses of parliament as we speak. And the AFL is saying it must go ahead and it must have a roof in the stadium. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm probably in the best position of anybody to compare and contrast Melbourne weather with Hobart weather, because I grew up in Melbourne, spent my first 37 years of my life in Melbourne, and I've subsequently spent 20 years here. So I'm perfectly positioned to tell you the differences. Okay. There's a huge difference in summer, much hotter in Melbourne, but winters, I don't find much different at all. So I thought I'd back up. Don't just take my word for it. I'll back up, and I went to the bomb last night. So this is July and August.
I'm sure all the Tassie Devil fans out there will be excited to hear this.
This is July and August. This is the average rainfall and the number of days it rains in both Hobart and Melbourne. So July, Hobart gets 41.4 mils of rain, okay, at about 7.8 days of rain a month in July. Melbourne, on the other hand gets 47.5 mils of rain with 9.7 days of rain on average. So more rain in Melbourne in July. Okay, August, 47.2 mils for Hobart with 8.8 days average rain, as compared to Melbourne, 50 mils of rain at 10.4. So more rain in Melbourne in the depths of winter, and Tassie gets the second less rainfall of any capital city in the country after Adelaide. The second less rainfall. Temperatures, you want to talk about temperatures?
Oh, come on, Michael.
No. Temperature. If you're worried about it being a bit cold, you want a roof over you. Well, July in Hobart, 12.8, 13.5 in Melbourne. August, 13.5 in Hobart, 15 Melbourne. Not a big difference in temperature either. Wind.
No, I'm cutting you off.
All
right, Isaac Quader.
Hold on. Bloodstone Arena, where a lot of you see the games being played down here. It's right on the beach.
Yeah, literally right near the beach.
Literally on the beach.
It is on the beach.
You're not going to get that wind where this stadium is going to be built.
Yeah.
So the roof isn't needed. It is not needed.
All right,
it'd be nice, but it's not needed.
I agree with you. It's funny. I was actually talking to someone about this exact point yesterday, and like to the listeners, Michael and I have not spoken about this once, and I was literally talking about it yesterday, almost saying the exact same things as you without the stats. Because
we don't get rain.
Because I said I've been to plenty of games in Melbourne in the middle of winter where I've been freezing my tits off. It's just been it's just been cold. So like I don't really see the difference because I've also been to games in Tassie in the middle of winter, and it doesn't feel much different. Like it's cold, but it's winter. And isn't Tassie the second driest state in the country?
I just want you to listen to my point. Hobart is the second driest capital city in the country.
Did you say that part?
Yes, I said that part, but you were busy sucking on a drink or looking at your phone.
Yeah, I'm actually writing down some things about Collingwood for the podcast. This is a Collingwood podcast.
The east coast of Tasmania get more days of sunshine per year than the Gold Coast. Obviously, we don't get over 12, but actual sunshine more on the east coast of Tasmania.
All right, let's move on. Isaac Quainer. I mean, he's finally starting to hit the form.
I do my homework. Look at that.
What happened? You told me you were going to get another cereal box to write.
Oh, I found this because I ran out of paper again at home, but I found this scrap in the bottom of the drawer.
Right. Isaac Quainer. So I reckon the last 2 weeks, best form he's been in since 23. He's looking like the Isaac Quainer of old. We gave him votes last week. Well, I gave him votes last week. We both gave him votes last week.
And I gave him votes early in the year as well.
He I think was even better last night than what he was the week before. He's intercepting again. He's winning one-on-ones. He's run and carries sort of coming back. And yeah, it's a really positive side. So I'm liking what I see from Q. And everything about this Collingwood team at the moment, as I've said plenty of times over the last, half hour, it's just clicking. It's just clicking. Like when these guys that have been out of form for quite a while starting to get back to their best, like it's exciting times ahead. What did you think of Q's game?
Very good. He's starting to getting back the offensive run that he had in 23. A couple of intercept marks, run and carry. Yeah, he's starting to work his way back in. Like we both thought, did he have a different role last year? Did he lose confidence?
He put on a lot of weight, muscle.
He put on a lot of weight. He slimmed down a little bit. Yeah, I thought he's been good the last 2 weeks, and his best game of the year was yesterday, I think. So that's exciting to know. If we can get him back to his 23 form, jeez.
Do you reckon that Sam Mitchell wakes up every night in just like a cold, sort of like hot, some kind of sweat?
Some kind of sweat. I reckon he does every night.
It's just having no. His wife is shaking him. Well, what's wrong, Sam? What's wrong? Wake up! Oh, Ned Long.
We started with props when they're doing pantomime. He's behind you.
Ned Long, what have I done?
Well, that inspired me for our title this week. It's a Ned Long inspired title. So oh wow, exactly. He's missed out there. They say, we got not John Newcomb, that was a tennis player. What's Newcomb's?
Jai
Newcomb. Yeah, but I reckon they can squeeze Long into that.
I reckon they can find some room for him. Yeah,
might just squeeze in.
We won't go on about it. We've talked about it probably more than any other player this year. Ned Long. Do you reckon we're talking about Ned Long more this year than what we did Nick Daicos last year?
Oh no, I don't think so. No, it was. Yeah.
All right. We'll end our review of this game with a bit of a negative, and that is Shooter doing his hammy.
Oh yeah.
Didn't he look disappointed? Shit? Oh, the poor guy. He's in such good form, and he just can't get a go at it. He did his hammy. He came back, gets knocked out, comes back, does his hammy. Like
we're just talking about. I'm not sure. They don't know how bad it is. They have to get scans on it. But somebody mentioned maybe 4 weeks.
Well, I think John Ralph said that they might even push it out to 5, not because he needs it, but because they just want to get him 100% right because he's so important to us. Like we're in that position now, we don't need to rush him back. And
it was fairly innocuous. It was just a kicking inside. Like he wasn't overstretching for the ball or anything like that, where they often go pang, like on the lead for a mark that didn't quite get there. So it was a bit of a worry that it went so easily.
I'm just looking, because normally when we do this podcast, there's news broken straight afterwards. So I'm just looking to see if there's any news on Lockie Shorts, but nothing yet. Actually, one more thing about this game. Why does Jack Ginnivan play like Lee Matthews every time he comes out against Collingwood?
I'm glad you brought that up. Because He kicked 3 goals. 2 of them I found really puzzling. His second one that he kind of snapped from about 15, 20 out. The Hawthorn player, I can't remember who it was, who fed him the ball. Like we tackled really well on the day, and our best tackler, Lockie Schultz and Long, but Lockie Schultz was very reluctant to tackle the Hawthorn guy who fed it to Ginnivan. It's like he stood back, he was in two minds whether to tackle. So he just kind of stood back and appeared to just watch him as he's got the ball. The Ginnivan bang goal. And then Ginnivan's third goal, you had John Newcomb running out of the centre. Pendlebury lays a tackle, but then seemingly just releases the tackle and watches as he runs off.
Yes, yeah.
They were two very odd pieces of play. And Ginnivan got the goal on the back of that. So I just found both pieces of play strange. Why didn't the Pies lay tackles in those situations?
But I reckon his 2 best games in his career, though, Jack Ginnivan, have come against us. Like last year, he had 31 disposals, 2 goals. This year, he's had 31 disposals, 3 goals. He doesn't rack up. Has he even got close to 30 disposals other than those 2 throughout his whole career? No way. And they actually asked him, Xander Maguire asked him after the game, I'm not sure if you saw this on Channel 7.
No, I was watching Fox.
Yeah, he interviewed Guinea and said, why do you save your best form against the Pies? And Guinea said, probably just the disrespect. None of them want a bar of me. That's what he said. Yeah.
None of them want a bar of me.
Yeah, no. But and then to Guinea's credit, Xander, I think, was trying to get a story out of it and said, do you I can't remember his exact words, but basically said, how much do you think that Hawthorn's culture is a lot better than Collingwood's? Are you enjoying your time at Hawthorn more than Collingwood? I think, after Guinea said they think I could get a story here. And Guinea said, no. He said, we won a premiership at Collingwood. He's like, you would take that. He said, I'm loving my time at Hawthorn. I loved my time at Collingwood. He said, I'm just happy.
Well,
that's good to his credit.
That's going to make for interesting premiership reunions in years to come. If nobody gives them a... I think Quaynor was I saw Sidebottom having a chat to him after the game.
Pendlebury was as well. I think you're fine. Honestly, I don't think he was. If you saw the tone he was talking in, it didn't seem like he was. It just seemed like he was just being honest. I don't think he was actually. I think over time, whatever's happened between Guinea and the rest of the boys, premiership reunion 10 years time, that'll be okay.
Yeah,
that'll be okay. All right. Let's get on. Do you have any other interesting things before we get...
Tom McGuan watch.
Oh, yeah, chuck it in.
29 possessions, 1 goal.
That's good.
Wasn't named in the best for the first time, I think. But still, not a bad game. And they lost. They lost again pretty badly, like 30, 40 points. I've
got some more. I just scrolled right past... This is what I was doing when I wasn't listening to you, and then I nearly forgot about it. Mid-season draft. I forgot to put it on here about the mid-season draft.
Yes.
Well, what's wrong?
I'm a bit disappointed because players get hyped up, and obviously because they're in the mid-season draft, they're probably not as great.
Have you seen Ned Long?
You still get exactly, but you still get hope. So I was hoping to pick up that May. What was his Archie May?
Archie May.
You know, the guy who's the son of the guy that the woman that Broden's going out with.
Yeah.
And he just seems like a bit of a big beast, 198 centimetres, got a fair bit of weight to him as a young guy. I think he's like 92, 93 kg, so he's building. And he's a mad keen Collingwood sport.
Really wanted to come to the Pies. We really wanted him. We said, put an 18-month contract on your head. Yeah.
I feel sorry for him.
Yeah, he wanted to come to
go into Essendon.
Big Durham won't be happy with that either.
No, Big Durham. So, and also, Krugs didn't get picked up.
No, exactly.
Sorry for him.
You never know. But who we did pick up, so let's just about who.
Focus on the positives.
we're very happy to have the new players.
Yes, they're very much welcome.
Rowan Steele. Rowan Steele. Mature age, I think 23-year-old from... one of them's from South Australia, one of them's from West Australia. I think he's the Western Australian.
I can't remember.
I only wrote this down when you were talking, so I'm very unprofessional. But yeah, mature age, mid-forward. I think he's about 23 years of age. So he's the type of guy that can step in if we need him. And as I was saying last week, that's what I want in the mid-season draft. Personally, I really wanted a key defender for key defense depth. I'm happy with Frampton and Moore and all that, but if one of them was to go down, could be a few alarm bells. We didn't get that key defender, but I am happy that we did get someone that can step in and play another role if needed. because the project guys, they never really work out in mid-season drafts. So, it'll be interesting to see how Steele goes. And the other bloke, Noah Howes, a young 19-year-old key forward from South Australia. His highlights package is actually quite impressive. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
You saw it before I did.
His ground ball was very good as well for somebody who's 96 centimetres.
Yeah.
Very agile.
So he'll develop, and as I just said, I don't like the developing players as much in the mid-season draft, but hopefully Noah can be the first of those developing players to kick on and have a successful career. So welcome to the club, boys, and let's get into the Julian Row medal.
Been pretty good, Julian Row. He's been better than pretty good. He's been a forward that has presented for them today.
All right. So I've given my full 60 votes, obviously, probably our best win of the year. And I've given 3 votes to Ed Allen, who had the 23 disposals. And I was surprised when I'm looking at the rest of his stats, he didn't actually rank highly in anything else. Meters gained, inside 50, score involvements. He was decent in all those things, like they're solid, but nothing outstanding. But his 23 disposals to the eye test, he was very, very classy. And yeah, he's now starting to get a bit of momentum in his game. So I'm happy with that. I've then given 3 players 4 votes. One of them being Pat Lipinski. He probably could have got more votes if he had finished the game. But for his time out...
I'm just talking about who are my homework. Because you know how you do who...
No, that's cheating. Get off.
And you said, no, you said do your homework. Who are my homework?
What are you talking about?
I was looking at a list of Collingwood players.
You're not allowed to do it. God, you're a cheat. You are
cheating.
You are a cheat. No, I go on there to work out players that I want to choose for the Who Am I.
Oh, I just kind of to tweak names that you might.
That's cheating.
No, it's not.
You can't sit there and start looking at list of Collingwood players. No, that's cheating. You are a cheat.
No. Hold on. I don't want to interrupt. But you said...
You don't want to interrupt, but you've already done.
No, a number of weeks back, you said, I studied for this. I thought, how do you study for it? Do you go down to the local library and bring out encyclopedias?
No.
You said,
I study for the Who Am I, as in my Who Am I that I'm going to give you.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I meant. You're a cheat.
I'm not a cheat.
You're a cheat, and you're still.
I haven't done it yet.
And you're still losing.
No. This is the first day I've done it because you said the other day.
Stop cheating. You're a disgrace.
Stop cheating.
All right, so don't interrupt.
I would need to start cheating before I stop.
So Ed Allen 3, and Lipinski. I was up to Lipinski. I gave him 4 votes for his 11 disposals, 4 inside 50s, 8 score involvements, 2 goal assists, and 2 goals of his own. And that could have been a lot better if he had actually stayed out there.
After calling for his head last week.
Yes, you also said that he should be
No, but I didn't give him votes, though.
You didn't give him votes?
No.
That's interesting. Jeremy Howe, I've also given 4 to. He had the 10 disposals and Jeremy Howe, Did I say 10? Did I say 10 or did I say... You've rattled me. You've rattled me. Jeremy Howe, 4 votes, 10 disposals, and 6 intercept possessions.
No, you said 4.
Okay. Darcy Cameron, I go 4 to as well, based off what I was saying before. Really impressed with the way he was able to work himself back into the game. 16 disposals, a team high 11 contested possessions. He had 6 tackles, an equal team high 6 clearances. So this was me talking about how he basically took the responsibility to start winning clearances on his own because the midfielders weren't doing it. He had 4 inside 50s, 5 intercept possessions, 6 score involvements, and 32 hitouts. To Lloyd Meek, I think he only had about the 36 in the end. So after smashing him in the first quarter in hitouts, he ended up, I think, being on top for the last 3 quarters. 6 votes to Isaac Quainer, who we just spoke of. He had 20 disposals, 6 marks, and a game high 9 intercept possessions. Ned Long, 7 votes. He had the 24 disposals, a game high 11 tackles, a game high 25 pressure acts, a team high 5 inside 50s, and an equal team high 10 score involvements. I've given Brody Mihocek 7 votes as well. He had the 12 disposals, 6 marks, 7 score involvements, and 4 goals won. Steele Sidebottom, who we actually haven't spoken about. Another great game from Steele. It's been probably a few weeks since he's been in the votes due to resting and maybe a couple of off games, but he's back to his best. He had the 27 disposals, an equal team high 8 marks. He had 5 tackles, a game high 594 metres gained, 6 score involvements, and 2 goals won. I've also given 8 votes to Nick Daicos. He had a game high 32 disposals. He had 7 marks, 6 tackles, 21 pressure acts, 496 metres gained, an equal game high 10 score involvements, and a goal. And best on ground, Jamie Elliot, 9 votes. He had the 12 disposals, 5 marks, an equal game high 10 score involvements, 2 goal assists, and a game high 5 goals won. So to recap, I had Elliot 9, Nick Daicos 8, Sidebottom 8, Mihocek 7, Long 7, Quainer 6, Cameron 4, Howe 4, Lipinski 4, and Ed Allen 3. And I just like to say a special shout out to Dan Houston. I thought that was his best game in a while. Couldn't quite fit him in, but I actually thought he was pretty decent, especially in the first half.
Yes. Well, I've got my full 60 votes. You got your full 60 votes there?
Yeah, full 60.
Yeah, I got my full 60 votes. And there are a few unlucky to miss out, such as Mihocek and Lipinski. But I've gone...
Wait, Mihocek missed out? You did not give Brody Mihocek a vote. You had 60 votes to give, and you didn't give Brody Mihocek. The Julian Row medal is losing credibility. Remember the other week when you gave Crisp like 8 votes after getting 2 disposals in the second half? And now Brody Mihocek after 4 goals doesn't get any.
I wish you'd show my votes a bit more respect.
I gotta respect that. All right, go on, move on.
Sidebottom 8, Elliot 8, Nick Daicos 7, Howe 6, Billy Frampton. You didn't get a vote.
Nah, it was good again, Bill.
Say everything you just said about Mihocek, I could say about Frampton.
He was
in reverse. He was a rock.
Mihocek was a lot better than what Frampton was last time. I'd be Frampton's biggest fan throughout the year. You know that.
Frampton 6, Long 6, Houston 5.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, for his second best game for the Pies. Quaynor 5, Ed Allen 5, and Crisp 4. Crisp, when the drums were beaten in the first half, he was very good.
He was good in the first half, but this is almost the exact same thing that happened. I think he had about 3 disposals in the second half again.
Yeah, I've dismissed the last quarter. My votes, I set my votes up for 3/4 time.
How can you not put Mihocek in? That's disgraceful. I mean, most people have him in the top 3 or 4 players.
Yeah. The earth was flat too. Most people believe that. Yep, there you go. So Sidebottom 8, Elliot 8, Nick Daicos 7, Howe 6, Frampton 6, Long 6, Houston 5, Quaynor 5, best game for quite a while. Ed Allen 5, and Crisp 4 for a total of 60.
That is your biggest stuff up in the 50 episodes we've been giving votes for. That is your biggest stuff up.
Remember I gave Will Hoskin and Elliot a -4?
That is your biggest stuff up. That is. Do you want a chance to rethink that?
No, thank you.
Are you seriously okay with not giving Mihocek a vote?
I said he was unlucky not to vote, not to poll votes.
All right, it's time for.
Why don't you? Okay, I resigned from the Julian Row medal count. I never wanted to do this. I said that at the start of last year.
Because
you do it. There's you can have my pen. I'm done.
You're such a whiny little bitch. Let's get in.
I've got no slippers on. That's another thing. My feet are cold.
Let's get in.
I'm not allowed to wear my boots on this perfect cart. The cat's shit on.
Let's get into Who Am I? All right, who am I? God, you've been whining all day, and I feel like you're going to start whining again, because this is the segment where you lose your shit.
You think I'm going to whine because you know you've got controversial clues to
No, I think there's a chance you get this, actually. I just know that you'll find a way to whine anyway, regardless, because you always do with Who Am I. There is a very high possibility that you'll be able to get this one.
Okay. Shoot.
For 5 votes. Oh, sorry, I mean points. For 5 points. I was drafted to Collingwood with pick 35 in the 1993 National Draft as a key position player, which does include ruck. Ruck is a key position.
So you had McCartney. He came at about that time.
Jason
McCarthy. He came back. I think he might have been there earlier. I think he might have been there about 92. Key position player, pick 35. Key position player. Who else? Walker.
Tristan.
No, not Tristan Walker. Forget his first name. Terrible centre half forward. Terrible one with injuries. Really good player, but could it be him? Could it be Walker? I'm not going to get it.
No. For 4 points, I would debut in 1994 against the Hawks as a 17-year-old, but wouldn't record a stat. I would only manage one more game for the season before becoming a regular member of the team in 95.
Debuted in 94.
94.
Against who?
The Hawks.
The Hawks. Played only one game though.
He played one more game after that, and
So he played two games
Two
in
games.
1994. He was a key position player.
and would become a
And
regular
he
member.
wasn't a ruck.
I'm not. He could have been a ruck.
Oh, I thought you was.
No, I'm saying that the ruck fits in key position.
We're going to change this next year.
I'm not saying that he was, but I'm also not saying that he wasn't. He's going to change it. You're going to write into the AFL and tell them to change it, aren't you? Because officially, ruckman is a key position player.
No, go on. What are we down to? 3
points. After 2 serious knee injuries and 54 games, my career would finally come to an end in 2002 as a Bulldogs player. Of those 54 games, 23 would come as a pie, the last being in 1997.
knee injuries. Finishes a Bulldog player.
Played 54 games, 23 as a pie, the last being in 97.
I should be getting this. If he's had knee injuries, he was a key position player, knee injuries. He's gone to the Dogs.
It's a good clue, the knee
And
injury.
he's finished in what, 2002?
2002.
We went to, I remember that Curly, what was his name? Curly. He had the controversial umpire interaction and he went from Collingwood to the Dog. He wasn't really key position. He was more of a flanker type.
All right, you ready to move on?
No. I want some time. I reckon I could nut this one
You
out
can't
of three.
you can't just sit here for 5 minutes. You
We can edit it. We got the revolutionary technology where we can edit.
We're moving on for 2 points.
I don't know. Give us another
All right,
couple seconds.
another
on this.
couple. I'll give you another
Because
couple
you talk
seconds.
a lot over my.
Well, it's a
kid.
podcast, Michael. We need to talk.
So-
See, I knew the warning would come out
Let me
eventually.
let me think it through,
It was-
Luke. Let me think it through. Not
Luke didn't reply to his invite to the panel. Yeah, I'm not sure if you watched the last episode.
I might be annoying, Luke, but I'm not rude.
It was Luke's idea. And he said he wanted to be in it.
Yeah.
Come on, Luke, get on board. What are you doing?
Manners cost nothing, Luke. So he's a key position player. Did his knee a couple of times.
All right, we're moving on. This is for 2
I'm
points.
because I will know.
You might. Despite finishing up as a Bulldogs player, I was best remembered as a Richmond player, where I played 30 games between 1998 and 2000.
Richmond player. Oh, okay. I think I know.
You know you need to talk.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to.
What are you writing down?
I can't remember him going to Footscray. I thought you meant he finished at Footscray in
He did.
2002.
He did.
But you said he was. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
So he went for Collingwood.
The pie.
So you're not going chronologically.
I'm making the questions are meant to get easier as you go along.
So you've gone from where he started to where he's ended, but there was a team in between.
Yes.
Can we go chronologically?
No, because we're going in what's the easier. It's the hardest to the easiest. That's the whole point in this quiz.
So he's gone from Collingwood to Richmond.
Despite finishing up as a Bulldogs player, I was best remembered as a Richmond player, where I played 30 games between 1998 and 2000.
Was Aaron James still playing about that? Your lip just quivered. Dermot's lip quivered. Could that be Italian quiver?
It could be.
Aaron James?
It quivered.
Should I go now on Aaron James?
Do you want to lock it in?
Did he do a few knees or was he just crap? Because he was meant to be the new Wayne Carey.
Wanker.
I think he's this type of player Richmond would have picked up in those years. They were picking up.
He did go to Richmond, did he?
I'm pretty sure he did. I'm more confident he went to Richmond than he was at Footscray.
You can go for 1 point. I don't think even. I know I've done it a couple of times, tried to go to 1 point, but there's no shame in going to 1. But lock it in at 2 if you want, and it will tie you up at 8 apiece if you get it.
Okay, taking a bit of I've got no real confidence in this. but I'll go for Aaron James.
All right. For 1 point. Off-field issues tarnish my career.
Well, that could be anyone. Like Collingwood in that period.
In 1996, I was charged with a fray following a brawl with nightclub security.
It sounded like Aaron James.
And in 1997, I was fined by the club for urinating on 2 women at a bar in South Yarra.
I've seen Aaron James urinating on half a dozen women.
In 2006, I was suspended from local footy for 15 weeks after threatening behaviour towards an umpire. And I'm currently back in the news as there was a recent statewide police manhunt to track me down. There are currently 8 warrants out for my arrest, and I've been hit with more than 100 charges over the last few years.
I didn't know Aaron James was that bad. I know you urinated on women, but that's not.
Are you confident it's Aaron James or?
I'm not asking. I didn't know.
If it's not Aaron James, you're...
I've already put in it, but
Yeah.
I didn't know he was that bad. I hadn't heard all this. There's the player in WA who's the Aboriginal guy.
Oh, Shannon Cox.
It's not Shannon Cox. He's been detained by now, I think.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to follow up on what happened with that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a manhunt on for him.
Yeah,
I know there's a manhunt on for that umpire.
Yeah, no, this news is about 4 days old. They just found him.
Really?
Yeah. So that's how I read an article about this guy. I'd never heard of him, and then that's why I came up with the Who Am I?
Don't know.
So I'm currently back in the news as there was a recent statewide police manhunt to track me down. There are currently 8 warrants out for my arrest, and I've been hit with more than 100 charges over the last few years.
Because I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news for a number of years, so I didn't know this was happening.
I am Aaron James. You sound so happy that he's in trouble.
You're guilty. I knew you wouldn't let me down, Aaron James.
And some of these charges include he's found of possession of ice, theft, threatening to kill his wife. He sounds like a charming young man, Aaron James.
Yeah, he was going to be the new Wayne Carey, Aaron James.
Hell, he's following on from Carey in some way.
Yes. Could be argued he is the new Wayne Carey. No, it's not fair to Wayne Carey.
Well, it's not really far off.
It's not a million miles away.
Well, I don't think Carey's been hit with 100 charges over the last few years. That's insane.
So I got how many? 3 I got.
No, 2. You got
2. I know, I was clearly lying and hope we get an extra point. Well, he's pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was 50-50, especially
He's
if he got to
higher.
Yeah, I thought if he got to the last one, you may have sent a news recipe.
No, actually, I wouldn't have got on the last one.
Okay.
No, just on the last one alone. I thought, oh, no, I think I would have. Yeah.
I bet you're going to be doing a little bit of research into this when we get off now, aren't you?
Yeah, I will. No, I'm happy with 2 points.
Fuck, I was looking at pictures and God, he just looks like a fucking Darrow. Almost dropped the C-bomb for the first time in 50 episodes. I nearly dropped the C-bomb.
No, it's not the first.
I don't think I've dropped the C-bomb on the podcast.
You were the
and
only,
if I did, I would have edited it out.
No, you're the only person that I know who has taken the worst word in the English language and made it worse.
Are you talking about that word with the word all at the end?
You're the only person who's able to take the worst word ever and make it even worse.
Was that during when we were 54 points down against Melbourne?
Yes, it was.
That's a perfect word to describe that game until we came back and won, and it was the opposite to that.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So that's Who Am I? We're now 8 apiece. It's heating up.
It's heating up.
It's heating up. Just like I said.
Better than last. We had a bit of a rocky start.
I don't think we got one for about 7 weeks between the two of us.
Well, what we'll do, as the nature of the game, really calls for, we'll get in early. By pick 2 or 3, one or two, we knew who it was, but we'd gone early.
Although, ironically, if I went at 5 last week, I would have got the big 5. I knew it was Scotty Burns. Well, I picked Scotty Burns after 5. And I was too scared, and I ended up getting it on 2, just because I didn't think you were going to go someone as obvious as Scott Burns. That's what messed with me, going with an obvious guy.
Well, just there. Yeah, well, I'm not going to give you any tips about how to know if you're going for an obvious guy or not. But I've seen some of our shorts on YouTube recently.
Just 2, yeah.
Yeah, a couple shorts. You'd be forgiven for thinking that I don't feature on Into the Woods podcast. It's all very much about Dermot. Yes. You see me at one stage. You see me out of focus in the background. Yeah.
Can I just if I'm cutting up clips of you and putting it on there, it's just me asking you a question and be like, I don't know. I haven't put much thought into it. That's all you give. I'm not going to be cutting up your Channel 7 v Fox Footy analyst and your weather from Tassie to Melbourne.
They're compelling.
No, because the shorts are meant to be short, and that goes for about 15 minutes each.
I see with some amusement that Richmond tried to squeeze in Noah Bolter into their side for this week's game.
They wouldn't be able to get home in time.
Well, they think they could almost do it, but is the ruling he has to be at home, or does he have to be in bed by 10 o'clock? I want you in bed and asleep by 10 o'clock. Well, what's the judge's ruling on that?
Oh, far out. All right. Let's move on to tips. The tips for the
next week.
King's birthday game. Yeah, last game before the bye. So I tell you what, if this was 5-6 weeks ago, you'd be saying Pies by 10 goals. Fucking, have you seen a team turn it around as quickly as Melbourne? What they do? We've lost their first 5 or 6 of the year. Now they've won their last 5.
I'm still fairly confident because I'm just thinking to myself, who is going to kick? They're going to have to get a lot of goals from their midfield because I'm just thinking down there. You got Fritz. Who's going to kick a winning score for them of their forwards? A Cozzy, of course.
Yeah, he's a good buy.
If we clamp down on Cozzy Pickett, yeah, I think we should win relatively comfortably, given I'm not sure what the conditions will be like, but you have to appreciate when we give these tips, it's a week out. Like that North Melbourne game where we gave tips, we ended up having five players withdraw.
Yeah.
So
we always do this the day after with our game.
Yeah. So at this stage, I would say we win comfortably, mid-20s.
Is that comfortably? Yeah, I guess.
Oh, that's pretty comfortable.
Yeah. Pies by 5 goals. I mean, we're a much better team than them. They've been playing good footy. I kind of agree that rate their forward line, but they've won the last 5 or whatever it is, 5 of the last 6. So they've obviously been scoring somehow. So you say where are the goals going to come from? Could come from the same guys that have done it the last 5 weeks. So.
Yeah, I suppose so. But they've been Pickett's really playing top footy. How long?
Honestly, I don't watch a lot of Melbourne. They're one football club I don't watch a lot of. I think they're boring. They've got no atmosphere at the games, even when you watch it on TV. Like their supporters never turn up. There's always half empty MCG. It's just not a good vibe watching Melbourne. So I can't really comment on them. But it's always different. King's birthday and the Freeze MND and all that. That's when their fans do show up. Well, the Collingwood fans make it look like they show up. But speaking of Freeze MND, Daicos is going to be going down the slide.
Yes, he is. And you were saying to me last night, you rang me when I was showing the Daicos highlights. You said, I haven't seen the Sydney. He kicked a great goal against Sydney with Vic Park. And the thing with Daicos, they tend to show the same ones over and over again.
That Richmond one I really like. The Brisbane Bears one.
Oh, but he kicked
West Coast, obviously.
In the early 80s, when he was primarily a forward, and he was a forward primarily late in his career, but the early 80s stuff, which a lot of Vision doesn't exist, or Channel 7 don't have the rights to it because ABC broadcast it a fair bit back then. Fantastic goals in the early 80s.
Yeah.
But we never see those replayed.
They asked Jeremy Howe after the game, they said, what do you reckon Peter Daicos is going to dress up as down the slide? He said, probably his favourite child, Nick.
That's a good one.
Oh, poor old Josh. What did you, just quickly, we're about to end the podcast, so a bit of strange time to bring this up. Hot Topics was a long time ago. What did you think of Josh's game last night? That's the first time, maybe all year, we haven't given him votes in the Julian Row medal, but he still ended up with the 24 disposals.
Well, as has become traditional, I write things down but then cross them out when I'm subsequently proven wrong pretty quickly. When I saw Ginnivan go to Josh Daicos, I thought, Hawthorn, they can't. What are they doing? You wouldn't want Ginnivan, whose defensive pressure is pretty poor, playing on Josh Daicos, who's just going to take off on him and end up with 38 possessions. But obviously they were exposing Daicos's lack of defensive pressure, and Ginnivan got 3 goals, so it worked out well for them in the end.
I don't know why,
but he came back in the second half. Josh, he got the ball a bit more in the second half.
He was it wasn't an awful game. It was still probably one of his worst games of the year because I reckon I reckon you can make a case for Josh Daicos as being our most consistent player this year. And that's why I say last night was probably his worst game, because I don't think he's played a bad game until last night, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's heading the best and fairest.
He could be. Well, that's the thing is I know what our Julian Row medal votes look like. You don't. And they will be released during the bye week. So we'll do next week.
As much as you bag my votes, last year, as I said, we had the top 10 in the Copeland in the Julian Row in the same top 10.
And I think I did a lot of the carrying in that.
Yes, life's great when you're riding your own.
I will admit that this year the leaderboard is a lot more interesting than what it was last year, because I think last year was Nick Daicos, Darcy Cameron, than the rest. I don't think we really had any good players other than those two. I remember reading at the top 10 at the end of the year, and it had guys like Darcy Moore in it, who we were bagging all year. We're like, how the fuck is Darcy Moore top 10 when for 8 weeks in a row we're just talking shit? This year, there's players already on the leaderboard that are sitting 13th, 14th that we sing the praises of every single week.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. So I'm looking forward to going through the leaderboard in a couple of weeks' time.
I remember in 23, sorry, I was going to say 93, that's how I went. In 23, I won the premiership, and you were sending me texts about the Copeland Trophy can, how it was going. And you sent me a text, and I think you had written wow up the top. And I've glanced at it, and I've gone, Daicos. I didn't really pay much attention. I thought, what's he going on about? What's the big deal? And then I didn't realise it was Josh was on the top. Yeah, I thought.
I stand by. I love that Josh won that, because I just love that all the hype is about Nick and Peter and two of the all-time great Collingwood players. Josh is a bloody gun. He's just the third best player in his family, so he doesn't get the respect he deserves. So to be a best and fairest winner in a premiership year and an All-Australian, and
he's been very good.
I'm so rapt that he got that.
He's playing the easiest position on the ground at the moment, though.
Well, he was wingman that year, though.
But I'm talking about now.
You could make the case it's the easiest position on the ground, but you could also make a case that it's also, sorry, I'm just distracted, just got a text message. You can also make a case that's now the most important position, that you just everything starts from there.
Yeah, probably. There you go. That was a good Alex Pearce point, wasn't it? I was looking back.
All right, so before we wrap it up, just quickly mention again, Tuesday night, make sure you tune in. It's going to be I was going to say it's going to be a ripping episode. I'm nervous about it. I think we've got 3 great panelists. I'm very confident. But the thing about this show on the Tuesday nights, we've never spoken to these people. We don't know what they're like. They could be the greatest things ever, or they could be bloody hopeless. No offense.
They could be psychotic. Imagine that.
They could be. And the thing is, every single month we're going to have 3 new ones. So it's just, I reckon this Tuesday night we could have some great episodes, and we could have some pretty average ones. So stick with us as we go through them. Just keep that in mind. But I've got high hopes for these guys. They're good. And if
well, you don't know that yet.
They seem good.
They could be so.
And for other people that want to be involved, that have reached out, your time will come in the next few weeks.
Mentally ill.
And for the people that haven't reached out but they're interested, what are you waiting for? Chuck us a message.
They don't want to come on. Apparently, that's what they're waiting for.
Maybe they're nervous. Maybe they're nervous to meet the heroes. I don't know.
I might be able to get your great aunt on if we're struggling. But back to Tassie. They can't. Let me just say this: the stadium thing. Tasmania, they can't stuff this up.
Yeah.
We like if they stuff this up, we're never getting the side. Ever. This is our one and only chance.
That most of the people watching this aren't linked with Tassie.
Well, where as in us?
Are you trying to say that you would swap for Collingwood to Tassie?
No, so I'm a Tasmanian. But
you're a Tasmanian. A few weeks ago, you said you weren't.
I'm living in Tasmania, so as a state, we can't stuff this up because we're never going to get another chance. That's going to be it. They'll draw a line through us, and then we would have to survive on freaking pagan festivals and craft beer and hiking. We need more than that to bring people down to the state. How often, we need money down here.
If there's a team down in Tassie, how often are you going to go to the games?
I'll go to a few games. I'll definitely go to a few games.
The Pies are going to come down, which is amazing.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Because I've heard people say, Collingwood and all those teams won't come down. What do you mean they have to? It's the same as us going to Greater Western Sydney and Gold Coast.
They have to come
down.
They
have to. At the moment, they don't, because, there's, what are they going to do? Play North Melbourne at Bellerive Oval or bloody Hawthorn at Launceston. But no, they would have no choice. I can't wait for the day, fingers crossed, Tassie get a team and I could just head into the city and watch the Pies play in my home state. That'd be great. But anyway, we're going to wrap this up. Any final words? Any interesting final words that don't go for 15 minutes?
No, nothing interesting. That's it.
Why do you have a "Who am I" written down in there?
That was from last week's Who Am I? I was old, like I said, I found an old piece of paper to write on.
All right, don't forget to subscribe to our channels on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. If you want to follow our socials, you can find us on X @IntoTheWoodsPod and on Instagram @IntoTheWoodsPod10. Thanks for listening. We look forward to seeing you again on Tuesday night.